Imagine it is 2 weeks before a major election in a closely contested state. A controversial ballot measure is on the line, and suddenly a wave of posts floods your feed on X, Reddit, and Facebook. Every post pushes the same narrative, amplifying the same talking points and generating the appearance of a massive organic grassroots movement. But none of it is real. Behind the scenes, a small cluster of artificial intelligence agents is organizing, coordinating messaging, and spreading a manufactured consensus without a single human being in the loop. This isn't a hypothetical threat for the distant future. It is the reality of the synthetic condition in 2026. We have reached a point where the distinction between authentic and synthetic media has become functionally obsolete for the average person.
Welcome to the era of industrialized deception. For years, we treated misinformation as an occasional crisis, a storm we could simply wait out. But in 2026, false narratives, deepfakes, and manipulated content have become an ambient condition of our lives, as predictable as a change in the weather and as persistent as the air we breathe. Artificial intelligence hasn't just made misinformation easier to create, it has industrialized it. What once required a room full of people in a troll farm can now be done by a single AI model in seconds, at near zero cost. We are currently living through a global stress test that is challenging everything we thought we knew about truth, trust, and our digital identity.
The scale of this shift is difficult to overstate. In just a few years, we've gone from whimsical images of the Pope in a puffy coat to a landscape where synthetic content is projected to make up 90% of all online media by the end of this year. Data from global surveys reveals a mounting sense of turbulence, with over 50% of leaders anticipating a stormy outlook for our information ecosystem over the next 2 years. The velocity of these threats has increased significantly. False stories now travel 6 times faster than the truth, reaching 100,000 people in the time it takes the truth to reach just 1,000. This is a fundamental shift in how power is exercised, where information integrity is weaponized for strategic advantage in both economic and kinetic warfare.
Nowhere is this speed more dangerous than in our financial systems. Modern markets now respond to information in an average of 2.3 seconds. That is a window far too short for any human team to verify what is real. We've moved into an era where a synthetic narrative can move a market faster than a missile. Back in 2025, a fake image of a Pentagon explosion, which would be considered crude by today's standards, briefly triggered $500 billion in stock market losses. Today, AI-generated financial news is specifically designed to trigger these algorithmic trading responses, moving individual equities by 7% before a human can even blink.
But it's not just the markets that are vulnerable. It's our very sense of self. We've moved into the era of the synthetic identity. Scammers no longer just steal your data. They create entirely new fake personas with realistic ID documents and AI-generated liveness videos to bypass security protocols. These synthetic accounts serve as the infrastructure for massive money laundering operations. Perhaps most unsettling is how little they need from you. Today, a fraudster only needs 3 seconds of your audio to create a voice clone that is 85% indistinguishable from the real thing. Deepfake attacks designed to bypass biometric authentication increased by over 700% in just 1 year.
This has created what experts call the all-green problem, a scenario that keeps security leaders up at night. It's when a legitimate customer, using their own device and their own location, authenticates perfectly. Every security light shows green, but they are acting under the manipulation of a deepfake. They think they are talking to their CFO, a romantic partner, or a government official, but they are actually being coached into moving their own money. Traditional security gates can't stop a threat that has already convinced the human at the center. By the end of 2026, it is predicted that 30% of enterprises will no longer consider standalone identity verification reliable in isolation.
It highlights the psychological weaponization of information. Algorithms today are optimized for maximum emotional impact. They use behavioral and psychological profiling to find exactly what makes you angry or fearful, and then feed you more of it to trigger an immediate share before you can even think to fact-check. This results in content that provokes resentment rather than informing the reader. This is particularly dangerous for Gen Z and millennials, who consume the majority of their news through these algorithmically curated feeds. On platforms like TikTok, young voters are regularly exposed to fabricated videos, where parody and fact are blurred into one fast-moving stream. And then there is the liar's dividend, which might be the most corrosive side effect of all. Because we all know that deepfakes exist, it has become incredibly easy for people in power to dismiss real, damaging evidence as just an AI fake. It provides them with plausible deniability for almost anything. When seeing is no longer believing, the truth itself becomes a matter of opinion, and that is a direct hit to the foundation of any democratic society.
The 2026 stress test is playing out across high-profile international events. The expanded FIFA World Cup, spanning 16 venues and 39 days, has become a prime target for disinformation and cyber campaigns. With 150 million ticket requests, the tournament has seen a surge in fraudulent ticketing portals masquerading as official portals. We've already seen narrative attacks where viral claims on social media insisted that 16,000 people canceled tickets due to the political climate in the United States. While these claims were resoundingly debunked, they were perfectly calibrated for viral outrage. Local authorities are on high alert, warning that deepfakes could be used to spread confusion or even incite panic at match venues during the tournament.
In Canada, research shows that misinformation and foreign interference pose the single greatest threat to democracy today. Hostile states are actively employing AI-driven campaigns to shape policy positions and manipulate diaspora communities. We saw a preview of this during the 2022 Freedom Convoy occupation of Ottawa, where misinformation was rampant across social media, actively amplified by convoy influencers using fake photos and deepfake videos. These narratives had a profound impact on the subsequent hostile behaviors of participants, leading to a climate of intimidation and the eventual declaration of a state of emergency. This ecosystem has also severely harmed reconciliation efforts with Indigenous communities, manifesting as residential school denialism and coordinated campaigns to dismiss evidence of systemic racism.
So, if the tools to lie are so powerful, what are the tools to fight back?
We are seeing a major pivot from content moderation to something new, what experts are calling truth architecture. We've realized that we can't just play whack-a-mole with every fake post. We need a verifiable chain of custody for digital media. The leading standard for this now is C2PA, or content credentials. Think of it like a digital identity card or a nutrition label for images and videos. It uses cryptographic seals to show you exactly who created it, what software touched it, and if it has been altered since it was captured. It is now being baked into consumer devices like the Google Pixel 10 and professional Sony cameras.
But even C2PA isn't a silver bullet. Researchers have already found vulnerabilities that malicious actors can exploit to pass fake content as authentic. That's why we're seeing more advanced physiological detection methods. Intel's Fake Catcher doesn't even look at the pixels of the video. Instead, it analyzes subtle blood flow patterns in the face, things the human eye can't see, but that real biological bodies do naturally. Synthetically generated faces usually can't replicate those signals yet. It's 96% accurate in controlled settings, which is a massive step forward for newsrooms trying to verify footage.
For information professionals, 2026 marks the graduation from the wow factor of generative tools to their ethical integration into workflows. Newsrooms are moving away from generic tools and toward vertical, newsroom-trained AI models that understand specific editorial styles and structures. AI is now used to sift through massive data sets and summarize 100-page reports. For example, The Guardian used custom machine learning to track anti-immigration rhetoric in the British Parliament over an entire century, a project that would have been impossible without these tools. The rule is simple. AI must make newsrooms faster and smarter, while keeping human journalists firmly in control of the final output.
We are also seeing a massive migration happening away from the walled gardens of big corporate social media and toward the Fediverse. Places like Mastodon and PixelFed are networks of interconnected servers that all speak the same language, ActivityPub. People are tired of being the product for an advertising machine. On these decentralized platforms, you own your server and your data. Communities have more power to set their own rules and can choose to defederate, which is a community-wide block against another server that allows harassment or misinformation to flourish. Blue Sky is a standout example of this protocols, not platforms approach. It uses the AT protocol to give users granular control over their experience. They've introduced composable moderation, where you don't just take whatever the algorithm gives you. You can configure what you see, choosing between different labeling systems for harms like intolerance or threat. It puts the agency back in the hands of the user, which is something our generation has been craving for a long time.
However, the legal landscape is still a bit of a fragmented mess. In the US, states like California and Texas are leading the way because federal law is stalled. California's AI Transparency Act now requires large-scale AI providers to offer a free public detection tool. Meanwhile, over in Europe, the EU AI Act is officially in force as the world's first comprehensive AI law. It mandates that deepfakes must be clearly labeled, with non-compliance costing companies up to 7% of their global revenue. But there's a big debate right now about the digital omnibus proposal, which some digital rights groups argue is a quiet dismantling of these protections to appease big tech by delaying enforcement for high-risk systems until late 2027.
As AI technology advances, its environmental cost is also coming under scrutiny. More than 200 laws have been developed to regulate AI, but many ignore the energy-intensive nature of the industry. Training just one large language model can consume 700,000 liters of fresh water for cooling data centers. Transparency starts with developers disclosing exactly how much energy and water is consumed during the production process, and experts are pushing for AI models to be trained on less carbon-intensive energy grids. By integrating sustainability into AI laws, the planet can be safeguarded alongside technology's rapid expansion.
It really feels like we are at a crossroads. We can either drift further into this ambient disorder where we just give up on the idea of truth, or we can build a new kind of resilience. This isn't just a technical challenge, it's a foundational requirement for living in the 21st century. It requires what experts call narrative inoculation, learning to spot the opportunist's game before the narrative takes hold. We have to be our own first line of defense. In countries like Finland, they're already teaching these skills to grade schoolers, treating media literacy as a matter of national defense. We have to ask ourselves 6 fundamental questions. Who is trying to communicate with me? How and why did they find me? What do they gain from me believing this? Can I verify the accuracy of this message? Am I at risk of being harmed if I embrace it? And could I risk harming others if I share it further?
The year 2026 is our stress test. It's the year we find out if our institutions, our platforms, and our own minds can adapt fast enough to survive the synthetic condition. We might not ever be able to stop the production of lies, but we can change how much power those lies have over us. Preserving trust in a world where reality can be manufactured is the defining challenge of our time. It's no longer just about whether we can detect what's fake. It's about whether we can still prove what is real.